Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I figured I would do a little bit of a chat about my experience at the Kiss Soundcheck this past weekend in Hartford. I know I've had a lot of questions online about this and you guys really seem to be enjoying the video. It's had over 60,000 views in one day. So I figured I'd give you guys a little bit more information on what the experience was like and my thoughts on it. I'll also sneak into this another little clip from the sound check that I did not release in the original video that I put out. So I think you guys are going to really enjoy this. So let's jump in and let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I'm excited to have with me my friend, the one with face dances, plenty of face dances. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm in a good mood. I'm excuse me if I have like my Barry White voice today. I'm a little raspy over the weekend. I played 3 shows, so I'm a little rough. Area.
I'm glad you actually started there because obviously we wanted to do this episode today to talk about the Kiss show I was at this weekend, specifically the sound check. But I have to tell you, at least 2 different, maybe 3 different people I ran into that day was like, where's Vincent? Where's Vincent? Where's Vincent? So I got that a few times. And whenever I told people, oh, well, he had a gig, I remember one guy said to me, all right, that's the perfect excuse not to be at a Kiss show with you. So I think it's kind of funny. We were talking yesterday, the fact that you did 3 gigs this weekend, and I asked you a question. I said, how many different songs did you play over your 3 different shows? And the answer still floored me. Why don't you say how many different songs you did over those 3 shows?
Yeah, you said how many different unique songs, and I said close to 100.
Yeah. Freaking nuts. Yeah. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Well, when you love something enough, you do whatever you have to do to pursue that happiness. And that's what I'm trying to do with these gigs and playing music. So.
And these are all like different cover bands doing like the best of the 60s, 70s, 80s in today. That's my radio voice, by the way.
Pretty bad one, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, it pretty much covers everything, from the 60s into the 90s, 2000s, covering all genres of pop, rock, even, disco stuff that I do, old school. 70s stuff.
Well, what disco? And then we'll get into the Kiss thing. What disco do you do? Because I feel like dancing.
Well, we do like Disco Inferno and Ain't No Stopping Us Now and I'm Your Boogeyman and
no disco duck?
Never can. No.
It's disappointing.
No disco. I did have that 45 though.
Yeah, I might have also at one point. Maybe it was yours. Maybe I remember hearing yours as a kid.
Yeah. I'm doing that, and then the next night I'm doing like, Cracker Man by Stone Temple Pilots. Right. So it's kind of fun. I do everything in between. Yep. So I think that's what keeps it interesting, that if I was playing in 3 bands that did all the same music, I don't know, unless I was getting paid really, really well to do that, I would kind of, lose my, like, tonight I have my Kiss rehearsal of just playing all Kiss, which is obviously appropriate for this discussion. So I'm very excited about that. Excited that I think there's going to be a big announcement coming about that band coming soon. So about a show we're going to do next year, but it's still, and it has to do with your relative location. So.
Okay. This is exciting because I don't even know what you're talking about. So I'll keep my eye out. Out. But I thought it was kind of cool that people were kind of asking me at the show on Saturday, hey, where's Vin? And I know one of the previous episodes, God, it must be about 2 months ago, you and I spoke about going to the show. And then
Yeah.
obviously you ended up getting gigs booked, which was a good thing. So that's why you had to bail on me. And I
of
actually,
course had to bust your chops, even
of
though,
course,
Yeah.
online, you're like, thanks for the invite. I'm like, which I told you is
Yeah.
one of your typical comments that you
Yeah.
make to me
Yeah.
online.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
great. I love that. But
Yeah.
I actually didn't even buy my own ticket until the day before on Friday, which was kind of interesting because I figured I'd be able to just go online and say, all right, what ticket do I want? When I purchased my ticket on Friday, I couldn't believe this. There was only 12 seats left in the entire amphitheater. And then of course it was lawn seats, but I had no interest in lawn. There was 12 tickets left only.
And how many of them were to Paradise?
Oh, all of them, of course.
Okay.
But that's only if you get two.
Oh, okay.
Assuming that's the reference you're going for.
Yes.
Okay. So,
Good one. You're sharp on a Monday morning.
No, hey, what am I going to do? I had a rough couple of nights with very little sleep. So,
Sorry to hear that.
Hey, whatever. It was all for fun stuff. So I'm not going to complain about that. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So, so I bought my ticket on Friday, and then I remembered during the week that they do these sound checks now, and that you can buy into the sound check. So let me just because I've seen some people make comments online about this, and I just want to clarify, right? So there's different packages out there that you could purchase. There is, and I'm going to just simplify it. There's at least three that I know of. There's the $4,000 package, which gets you in the pit to watch the show. You meet the band. I think they give you some signed stuff, and you do the sound check. That's option number one. Option number two is you buy your own ticket to the show, and I think for $1,000, you meet the band, take a picture, and you see the sound check.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes, of course you can.
The picture, are they still doing it behind like a
I'm glad you asked that question.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
So I believe at Hartford Saturday night was the first time they stopped doing it behind the plexiglass.
Okay.
I know for sure they did not do it behind the plexiglass on Saturday night. I believe it might have been the first time.
Okay.
Since the pandemic.
But I know I've heard people were kind of like, listen, I want to take a picture with the band. I mean, understandably with what was going on, but they felt like paying that kind of money and they got a piece of plexiglass kind of like loses the intimacy of that.
I agree. I personally agree, but again, I'm fortunate, and you can see it over my shoulder or over here. I have a few different pictures with the guys in the band. Yeah. So I wouldn't do the plexiglass photo, but if that's your one and only chance, I understand people might be interested, right? So I don't judge if somebody's into that, but it wasn't for me. So I did not purchase either of those two packages. I purchased option C, which is only the sound check. And it's on their website, kissonline.com, and for $250, anybody could do it. So in my mind, well worth it, right? So $250 to go to sound check, something I've never done before, well worth it. So I've seen a bunch of people online posting, oh, this is a $4,000 package. No, get the facts straight. You could purchase the sound check separately, and that's what I did. So I just wanted to put that out there, right? So and I know you and I spoke about possibly doing the sound check together. Before we get into the details of it, I think you were like, yeah, that would be something that would be kind of cool to do also, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a unique experience. You get to see Gene in a robe, or maybe in something else. Who knows? Maybe his birthday suit.
You don't want to see that. Even though he did a few times lift the robe up, and I'm like, he saw us.
He does his like leg kick and deuce, and all of a sudden you see like his boys,
his third leg.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, I could definitely do without that, but no, to me, I thought it was kind of cool, a great experience. And I'll say this, I filmed the whole thing, and as I always do, I kind of kept the phone right here at my chest so I could watch the whole thing, right? So I filmed the whole thing. You could find it on my channel.
Which to those people,
yes, is
a perfect public service announcement. That is the right way to do it.
Thank you.
You've always been a total pro. You're not sticking it up in the air, like this, where people are trying to see. You've always, and if you couldn't, you didn't. That's the way it was.
No, exactly. And if I have some heads at the bottom of the screen, so be it. Not only do I not want to disturb the people behind me, but I want to watch the event with my own eyes. I don't want to watch it through a screen. So if I could kind of hold it up chest high, I'll glance down a little bit and go, I could do that, that's fine. But I did film the whole thing. I put it up on my YouTube channel. It's got, in 24 hours, it has 60,000 views already, which is freaking amazing, right? People are going crazy over this, in part probably because what you just said, Gene in a robe is just
you smartly put that in there, and I know why you did it, because somebody's looking something up. Because I did see, I think it said fan posts, but like one of those whatever those sites that,
Right.
follow
Yep.
this stuff. So I know once you kind of get that, your views just go through the roof, which is great.
It
Yeah, I
is.
don't know.
And,
Do you know how many people picked up on the story?
I know a couple of different websites did pick up on the story, but I'll say this, I scheduled it to post at 7 a.m. Sunday morning, New York time. And I woke up at like 10 o'clock and it already had like 10 or 15,000 views and it wasn't picked up by anybody yet. So for whatever reason, I know there was some pictures going around online on Saturday of Gene in a robe. And I think just people kind of took to that.
Gene in a robe.
Gene in a robe.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen people commenting about, how in their mind distasteful it was that Gene. I thought it was freaking great.
How is it distasteful?
That it's rude that people are paying money and that he should, get dressed beforehand and whatever. I think it's freaking hilarious.
Maybe he had the cummerbund at the friggin' cleaners or something like that. He didn't,
Well, he did say when he came out, he had just finished dyeing his hair.
Yeah.
And, my guess is that the hair was still a little moist from the dye and he didn't want to slip a shirt over it and whatever. So what? In my mind, I fucking seen Gene performing in a robe. I'm not going to see that again in my life. I think that to me added to the memory of the event. It's just like him walking out and being like, all right, he's wearing a robe. He's going to take that off probably. And, and then he's freaking performing in the robe. He's putting the bass on. I'm like, he's going to perform in a freaking robe. This is amazing. So I thought it was cool.
Well, the one thing we've learned about Gene is he absolutely has a sense of humor and he's self-deprecating.
Yep.
Not self-defecating. That's another thing that,
Well, maybe that's why the robe was on.
Could be. Who knows?
Had a diaper on underneath. Who knows?
Yeesh. So, yeah. So that, that's cool,
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was very cool. I had no problem with it at all. And I don't think a single person, there was only about 100 people there. I don't think a single person who was there was like, oh, what's Gene doing wearing a robe? I want my money back. So,
yeah.
People online will always have their comments and that people are entitled to their opinions, right? But I can tell you not a single person there thought anything of it. We all thought it was kind of like funny, unique, and cool. And from what I heard, he did some of the meet and greets in his robe also that day. Yeah. So, hey, whatever. Gene is Gene.
What I really have to ask is how much did he sell the robe for afterwards? Because he could get big money for that robe.
That's a good question. I'm surprised he isn't selling it right now. Gene performed in this robe one and only time.
Gene Simmons, slightly used robe.
That's right.
Slightly used but not soiled robe.
Oh man, but so I had no problem with that at all. But to me, it was kind of cool. So the way the day went, we got there, 3:30, 4 o'clock. They told us they were going to let us in. They actually didn't let us in until about 5, right? So they usher us in right to the front of the stage. And as I'm walking in, Tommy Thayer was the only one on stage at that point, right? And I recorded a quick little 45-second clip of what I'm about to talk about. I wish I was recording the whole time because it was kind of cool. Maybe I'll toss it in here because I haven't put it online anywhere. But he was playing the song Listen to the Music by the Doobie Brothers. Mm-hmm. And I just thought it was kind of cool. You just see him on stage. He's just like, ding, 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 like playing his guitar and whatever. And a couple of people started singing along. And it was just like kind of an interesting, unique moment. Like I said, I caught like the last 30, 45 seconds, but he was doing that for probably close to 1.5 to 2 minutes. I'm like, right off the top, I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is what I like about doing these kind of events. It's just this kind of very laid back. And, when am I going to walk in front of the stage, the Big Kiss stage, Tommy Thayer there playing Listen to the Music. I was like, that's kind of a cool experience just in and of itself, so that's kind of the way it started. The guys come out, Gene comes out in the robe, Eric Singer's behind the drums, Stanley comes out, and look, I've seen them on the cruise and all that. I've been up close, and right away though, my first thought is when I see Stanley, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy's 70 years old and he's in better condition than I am in my early 50s. I'm like, damn, I'm living life wrong. I'm living life wrong. And it's amazing what good shape this guy is in at 70 years old. It's simply amazing. That's the first thing I notice as soon as he comes out on stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, instantly then they start doing some songs, and then Paul's like, yeah, how about Plastic Caster? And I'm like, all right, already I'm like, all right, well, this is cool. Getting an electric version of Plastic Caster. I've seen them do it acoustic a number of times. And then Hotter Than Hell, Going Blind, and Got to Choose. So I'm like, right off the top, those are 4 great songs to me. I'm like, this is worth the price, the $250 price, being right up in front of the stage. I'm literally like 20 feet from the guys on the full stage. Yes, I've been that close at like the cruise shows or whatever, but there was something about seeing them on the full stage, goofing around a little bit in between or whatever. Just like, this is better than the concert itself, in my opinion. So I'll pause there. I know I told you that they had done those songs. What were your thoughts on it when you hear me say that, hey, those are the 4 songs that they did?
Well, I mean, well, first of all, I'm glad that they pick songs that they're not doing in their set, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So
100%, yeah.
So now, if you're going to see a show that's about, what do they do, around 19, 20 songs in the night?
Yep.
Is it about that much? So now you're getting 24 songs total, right? So you're getting a bit of a bonus. So yeah, I mean, that's a, I wouldn't even have expected that, quite honestly. I figure if you're doing sound check, you're going to play stuff that you're playing during your gig. So the fact that they're doing that, I wouldn't be complaining about any of those songs.
Yeah,
you know, certainly.
I agree.
I mean, we've heard them do it, you know, and they're plugged or whatever, but still, it's always, you know, kind of refreshing to hear those songs again, based on the selection of what you said.
Agreed. And, you know, yeah, I've seen them do Going Blind a number of times acoustic. I think I'd only seen them do it electric one time before this. If I remember right, on Kiss Cruise 5, I think they did it on the electric show. But so for me, just seeing them do that, even electric, and you know, it's one of the things that's amazing, man. Gene still sounds good. So his voice is such, you know, it's such good form for. I kept thinking about this. You know, we hear all this talk about singers who are losing their voice, Stanley included, right? So Gene at 70 years old, he still has it. You know, no Kiss fans seem to talk about that, but I'm like, damn, this guy still has it. And it was just kind of cool to me to hear him doing Going Blind and Plastic Caster and the other songs. And I was like, hey, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, you know, it's and the thing is, again, too, you're going to be at the arena, right? You're going to see the show.
Yep.
And for you know, and I'm not going to minimize $250 for anybody, you know, because everybody's
Agreed.
different. But all things considered, what I've heard of things costing, meet and greets, a meet and greet costs $250 easily these days.
Easily, yeah.
Right. So you have an, you know, somewhat of an intimate and a really big place where it's really quiet, and there's, you know, the band comes out there, you know, they're not in the makeup. Again, there's also that factor too. So you see, even I know we know what they look like, but still, even that, it's cool. They don't have. I think Paul had like a black t-shirt on or whatever, you know, very casual. So, you know, you're getting a totally different experience for what you would pay for a meet and greet, to say, hey, okay, next, you know what I mean? Like, how long does that usually last? And so how long did it last, the whole?
The whole thing was about 35 minutes long, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe 40 by the time, you know, because we got in a few minutes before the band hit the stage. So maybe we were in there for 40 minutes. And then when they got off the stage, I just walked around the empty amphitheater for a few moments, took pictures of the stage with nobody on it, and just kind of took in being in this amphitheater with nobody there. I mean, literally there was, by the time I was taking my pictures, there was probably no more than 30 people still wandering around.
They didn't escort you, like, all right, now you got to leave this area. They just kind of.
I lingered around for maybe a minute or two only taking pictures.
Okay.
So I quickly, you know, once everything was done, I knew I wanted to just get some pictures from like a little center stage, but like behind all the seats, and nobody was like, get out of here. You got to, you know, I just was very respectful, walked over there, snapped a few pictures, turned around and started walking out. So nobody stopped me, but you know, people were still filtering out. I'm sure if I lingered another minute or two, somebody would have said, hey, come on, you got to get going. But I tried to do it, you know, quick and respectful. But to me, that was one of the neat things also, is just kind of being in these places when there is nobody there. And I kept thinking, like, look at all these empty seats that you can see, the lawn in the back is all empty. And I'm like, yeah, in 3-4 hours, there's going to be 10, 15,000 people here enjoying a concert. And I'm here right now in like this empty place, which I'm sure is common stuff for people who work in the industry, but it was kind of like neat even just to see the place like that, so empty and quiet. Really, it was kind of cool for me for that.
The thing that doesn't get discussed often enough, I think, is that, and I could vouch for this now, not making anywhere the money that they make on any of this stuff.
You're not? Oh, I thought you were. I
Well,
thought you were making Gene
we'll
Simmons
see. We'll
money in
see
your
if
bands.
maybe I'll have a good week. Maybe I'll have a good week this week.
Okay.
But when you have to play the same material over for, what is it, 30, 40, 50 plus years, whatever it is,
Yep.
to have that enthusiasm and excitement. I could tell you when I do covers, and after a while I'm like, oh man, this freaking song again. Now, again, I don't have the incentive of 15, 20,000 people screaming in the crowd. I understand. However, you get tired. It's just like when you eat something too much, you know what I mean? You're like, oh man, I'm so tired. I've had whatever. Maybe it's another one not like you, because you're the Hamburglar, but you know what I mean? But you could have I think you could have a burger every day.
Probably,
right?
Probably at least 5 days a week. Yeah,
you're right. As long as you have barbecue sauce,
then I'm good.
Right.
That's good. And give me a roast beef with some Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I just had to work Worcestershire into the conversation.
Yeah, which is getting me excited about our Kenobi Fest.
Kenobi Fest, yes, coming up soon. Kenobi Fest, yes, indeed. So
you want to tell people what Kenobi Fest is, or kind of quick?
No, if they were watching the last episode, they'd know what Kenobi Fest is. I think we mentioned that. So, that'll be the people's homework. I don't care what you think about the Kiss Soundcheck. Let me know if you know what Kenobi Fest is.
I feel like we'll have to give something away.
Yeah, maybe.
Which
leftover part of the sandwich, maybe.
I have some ideas about that. For your show. I think I like you try to take over my career and tell me what I need to do. I think I got to start, pushing some buttons here. So
I like the idea.
Okay. So anyway, I'm sorry I went off track.
That's okay. That's fun. That's fun stuff.
So was there anything else? I'm sure there was some banter of going in between. How, and I'm always curious about this because Gene, and I know traditionally, you did some events on the cruise where he's literally on stage for the whole day when he was doing his master classes.
Yep.
And I always felt like Paul was very like, if I'm going to be there at 10, I'm going to be there at 10. If I have to end at 10:30, I'm ending at 10:30. Yep. So what was the vibe on the stage overall for the whole thing?
I mean, the vibe was really cool amongst the guys. After they did those 4 songs, they started letting some of the attendees ask some questions, and maybe 4 or 5 people ask questions. And
how did they arrange that? Did they have like
somebody's walking around with a microphone? I'm not sure who it was. I didn't really catch who it was, but somebody's walking around with a microphone and giving, if you raise your hand and you want to ask a question, they give you a chance. And like I said, 4 or 5 people ask questions. One of the things I thought was cool, one of the fans said, hey, if you guys, I think it was a question to Paul, if there was a song that you could do from your 80s catalog that you don't do anymore, what song would it be? And first off, I thought that was an interesting question because we know they do Tears Are Falling and Heaven's on Fire, I Love It Loud, right? But hey, is there another song that you don't do that you'd love to bring back? And Stanley instantly started joking around. Yeah, Burn Bitch Burn, which you and I always, and most Kiss fans make fun of that song because of the lyrics, and Gene started, being typical Gene and kind of reciting the lyrics to the chorus. So that to me was just a funny moment. And, but I forget, like one of the other fans asks, hey, is there a favorite song that you've ever written? And I think it was Gene kind of turned to Tommy and jokingly said, oh, well, Tommy wrote Stairway to Heaven, and then, they started asking Tommy, well, what's your favorite song? And Tommy was like, they don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you guys. You guys are the main songwriters. You're the ones that wrote most of the songs. And it was kind of nice even just to see that respect. And we know it's there between the band members where they were like, hey, Tommy hasn't said anything. Let's give him a chance. And then Tommy kind of turned around and saying like, no, you guys are the main songwriters. They want to hear what you guys think is your favorite songs.
So did Paul ever give an answer, or he gave the Burn Bitch Burn reference?
No, eventually he did give an answer, and he said his 3 favorites were Love Gun, Detroit Rock City, both of which I've heard him say before.
No. I'm going back to if there's a song from the 80s you can do.
No, he never really did. He did say that there's many of the songs he can't do anymore. No surprise. And he did mention I'll Fight Hell to Hold You, although I think he called it Hell to Hold You only or something like that. But regardless, the fact that he even remembers he wrote that song is I've never heard him mention that in the last 20 years.
Mhm.
But no, I don't think he ever really said, yeah, this song I'd really like to do, or Reason to Live, or whatever. No, I don't
Right.
think so. No.
Right.
I
Okay.
was curious when the person asked the question. I'm like, it's a good question, because we know they do Tears Are Falling and Hide Your Heart they've done, and but is there
Mhm.
some deep cut that but no, he never answered it, unfortunately,
Okay.
outside of Burn Bitch Burn.
Right.
So,
Right.
which Gene
Yeah.
ran with. So it was a funny moment. But yeah, so to me that was all fun. And then they started goofing around. I don't know how it came up, but like I think Gene started playing the bass for Two Timer, and they started going into that for a little bit, and they did a verse of that. And to me now, that was probably my favorite part of the sound check, was when they start goofing off and doing things like that. That's what I used to love about the unplugged shows, when they used to be much more spontaneous than they are these days. So they started goofing off, doing some of Two Timer, and I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. And then for me, the highlight of the day, and I don't even know if I told you this before we were talking. So I've been on all the cruises except the first. I couldn't go on the first because it was mid-October. I couldn't get off of work, blah, 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 blah. One of my biggest regrets of not being on that first Kiss cruise is that they did Room Service, which I think is a very premium song, right? And they've never done it again. So I'm like, damn, and that's probably my one chance in life to see that song live. And then at the end of the sound check, they start playing the chords to Room Service. And I think my freaking shoe flew off my foot with excitement.
Yeah.
I got super excited.
Past Paul's head. You like
exactly. To say I got excited was an understatement. And then like you could see, like I think it was Paul couldn't remember the exact chord pattern, and they stop. And I'm like thinking to myself, no, don't stop. Because Paul at this point had already said, thanks for coming, goodbye. And they stop, and I'm like, all right, Paul's just, he doesn't remember, he's just going to walk off. And then Gene starts showing him, and then they go into it, and then he starts singing the first verse. And that was, for me, I was like, thank you. And they didn't do the whole song. He did the first verse, the second verse, he sang part of it, but then he sang the chorus. But it didn't matter to me. I'm like, holy crap, I'm finally, after 12 years since that first Kiss cruise, I'm finally seeing at least a portion of this live. Made my day. And to say I was excited, like I said, I mean, I was visibly excited, and totally worth every penny just for that alone.
Yeah. That's great. I didn't even realize that part of it. So now you got all the 4 songs or whatever they did, 5 songs.
4 songs.
And now they're doing something that they never play, as you said. Maybe, I mean, did they do it back in the convention tours when they were doing the acoustic stuff?
I think they did do it once or twice. I know I've seen video of it. They did not do it at the New York convention show that I was at. I know that, but they did do it a couple of times in '95 acoustic. Okay. But electric, they did it in '75 for a handful of shows. Then they did it on the first Kiss cruise in 2011, and to my knowledge, no other shows ever again. So again, it wasn't a full song, I know that, but the fact that they gave it a shot and they got through basically the guitar solo part, I'm in my glory. I'm freaking in my glory,
So was this like Tommy initiated this? Is that how it all started?
No, I want to say it was Gene again. And then, Gene and Paul started trying to like remember the chords. And then once Paul got it, Tommy was right there. He knew the song. Eric Singh was the one that kind of kept it going at one point. So after the first verse and chorus, Stanley takes off his guitar because he'd already said, thank you for coming, goodbye, blah, blah, blah. We knew it was supposed to be 30 minutes. They were already at like 35. So Stanley takes off his guitar and he starts walking off the stage, and Tommy, Eric, and Gene keep playing. And you can see Eric's like not giving it up, right? He's like, no, we're going to keep doing this. He was enjoying himself, which I'll talk about Eric in a moment. But so he was enjoying himself. And then so Stanley was walking off, and he turned around. He was like, all right, I might as well go back and sing the second chorus because these guys aren't stopping. And then he came back, he sang the second chorus, and then he was like, all right, he's waving goodbye, and he walked off, and Tommy, I'll say, made up a guitar solo at the spot for it. But again, very, very, very cool moment. But I want to say it was mostly initiated by Gene, if I remember right.
So the bottom line is Paul still left the stage at some point with the guys still playing.
Yes. They were doing the solo, or Tommy, doing his makeshift solo in the song, and Paul walked off the stage, gone, and the 3 of them were still jamming. I didn't feel cheated by it because, in fairness, and I've seen some other videos, They're usually 25, 30 minutes to sound check. We were at 35 minutes already, maybe creeping up on 40. He had already said, thanks for coming. We were going to go take pictures. They were done. And then all of a sudden the room service thing just started. So I didn't feel cheated, although in my mind was, dude, you can't stay another 45 seconds.
Well, that's right. If you did say that, I was just going to go, I mean, listen, at this point, if it's always about the fans and giving the fans what they want, another minute was not going to mess up his schedule. I can't, you're not going to give me any reason, you know, other than he had to shit his pants and he was, you know what I mean?
And maybe he did, since, you know, he wasn't wearing a robe, you know, so he has to take off the jeans, the belt and all of that. It could be.
Exactly. It could be, but you know, I guess that goes along with what Paul's reputation is usually he's very kind of like by the books, you know, and I think you've said to me in the past, he always looks like he's just, I don't know, how did you describe him? Like, it's like,
I say it this way, to me, from what I know, and I don't know Paul Stanley, but he always seems like a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And these kind of things where they're just jamming on a song or whatever, my impression, it's out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
So the quicker he can get out of that situation, the better. That's just my perception. You know, I'm sure if they were doing, I don't know, a song that they know back and forth, if they were doing Heaven's on Fire, I don't know why that song came to mind, he'd be comfortable and he might have stayed. But I could always sense a little bit of that uncomfortness when they get into that, hey, let's try to goof off and jam a little bit, which is unfortunate because to me, that was the friggin' highlight of the whole thing. And I loved the whole first part with the 4 songs they did. I thought the Q&A was cool, but seeing them do room service, I'm like, man, this is perfect. Thank you guys. So I don't care that it wasn't perfectly performed. That didn't matter to me. You know?
Right.
But who knows? Saying all of that, I will say, originally the sound check was going to start at 4. It started at 5. Not a big deal to me. By the time they got all of us in and all, not a big deal. It ran 10 minutes longer than expected. And that night, Kiss did not hit the stage until 9:07, which surprised me. Yeah, it was a bit late. You know, I figured it was going to be 8:45, 10 to 9, maybe 9 o'clock. When it was 9:02, 9:03, 9:05, I'm like, the hell's going on here? You know, 9:07, finally, Rock and Roll from Led Zeppelin started. I was like, holy crap, that's late. So, you know, things will maybe run a little bit behind. I will say that, but and they finished at 11:01. Actually, I did notice that they finished at 11:01, and we know the curfews at these places are very strict. So, in fact, I kept waiting for them to like pull the plug on Rock and Roll all night, you know, because it was past 11 o'clock. But anyway, it was just an observation I made with the time, right? Just to kind of play the other side, just for a moment of him leaving the stage there.
Right.
So
interesting.
Yeah. But saying that, it's all good. I would strongly encourage anybody, if you're into it and you have the money, right? Because I know $250 to some people might be a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not a lot of money, right? But you know, that to me, I put it potentially in one of my top 10 Kiss events that I've ever been to. Just being in an empty theater like that, so close. Again, I've been close before, but it's just the whole vibe of the whole thing was just perfect to me, really perfect.
That's good, you know, that they could continue to have experiences, new experiences that still excite the fans. And you know, you always want to get your money's worth, no matter, you know, buying your car, your meal, whatever it is, you know. It always is upsetting. You know, like when you go to a restaurant, you look forward to eating, you order something and you're so disappointed. And you're like, I paid what for this? And you know what I mean? You go home with a bad taste in your mouth. You don't want to go to a show and leave there with a bad taste in your mouth, you know?
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, look, and I said this to somebody yesterday, I think, maybe you, I don't remember. In 2003 was the first time Kiss did the backstage paid meet and greets. And I know they got a lot of crap for that at the time, right? Oh, they're charging. This is something that bands do for free. How could they do this? Blah, 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 blah. Now every band does that, right? And I'm not saying the Kiss was the first band, but they was certainly the first big name band that I'm aware of. And they might have been the first, right? But they're certainly the first big name band that I was aware of charging for backstage meet and greets. Now it's common practice. I have to think other bands are going to start doing this, paying for the sound check if you want, because let's be honest, most of the time the bands are there in the middle of the afternoon, late afternoon, doing a sound check. And if you can get some income to have some diehard fans come in and watch, you know, you're not doing much extra work and you're getting paid for it. and you're giving the fans a cool experience. I have a feeling 10 years from now, this might be common practice with bands.
Yeah, and let's face facts. Sound checks have been a part of music, concerts for since the 50s, 60s, or
Yeah.
60s, I would say. So this is nothing new that they did. Also, their bands started doing sound checks. They always did it. They just didn't make it an experience for people to have. And
Right.
listen, if you found, I know they're out there, sound checks from the 70s and stuff like that. That's great. And you just always say, oh man, to be a fly on the wall. Well, now you don't have to be a fly on the wall. You could be the fly, in the center of
arena.
the arena.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll just say about the show itself, to me, they're using what I'm going to call the C stage, right? The first stage to me was when they have the 17 pods, then they kind of pared that back. So I call that the B stage. Now they're down to the C stage with no pods at all. But it was kind of cool to see a different stage after, this was my 15th show on this tour. So, and the show itself was the same as what we saw last year, set list wise, less Parasite. But it was kind of neat to see a different stage. They have those two big cats now on the sides of the drums, which was kind of cool to see also. So the show itself was fun. I was glad I was at it, but the highlight for me was no doubt the sound check.
So even if you didn't have the show and you just had the sound check and you drove to Hartford, it was, right?
Yep.
It would have been worth it for you.
I called my wife in between because my wife was out doing something else that night. So I called just to touch base with her. And I said the exact words was, if I drive home now and don't even go to the concert, I'm good.
Yeah.
It was worth the 2-hour drive each way just to do the sound check. So that's the way I felt. So the concert was almost like the added bonus of the evening. So.
And let's also tell users, because I think there'll be these people, well, he does everything. Yes, he loves everything. You've been very, especially with me on the conversation, like, oh, I was disappointed they didn't do this. And, you're not just blowing smoke out there just because, you're waving the KISS flag. I mean, you're saying really what you feel about this. And if you felt like you got gypped or they overcharged for something, whatever, you would say something about it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. To me, this is a no-brainer. The only thing that could have made this better for me, and I know this is never going to happen, if they whipped into the song Tomorrow.
Yeah, well,
then I might have spent $4,000 on the ticket for that one.
Yeah, that's your ultimate KISS bucket list song. I know that.
It is, and
so
I'm
got your
die.
room service.
I got room service. I'm going to die not hearing Tomorrow. I know that.
Yeah.
I know, because one time I went to one of those Paul Stanley private events on the cruise, and he was, what song do you want me to do? What song do you want me to do? So I yelled out Tomorrow, and he goes, all right, yeah, maybe Tomorrow. I was like,
at least he answered you.
Yeah, he did. I was like, no, it's not the answer I wanted to hear. Just a verse and a chorus. That's all I need. Just a verse and a chorus. But all right, maybe one day. But kind of to wrap this up, we still have some more KISS events coming up, and we got an exciting one coming up this weekend.
Yeah, we do. I was looking on my calendar for the week. I said, what's up for the week? And I'm like, we're both speculating, wondering. You were giving me a whole bunch of scenarios. Would you rather have him do one, Chelsea song?
Would you rather have him do a song from his 78 solo album or 3 KISS songs?
Yeah. No, this is going to be cool. I think it's going to be great to see him, whether he plays the drums or sings or just appears on the stage.
Of course, we're talking about Peter Criss. I don't know if we ever.
We did.
We knew what we were talking about.
Yeah, sorry. It's this Sunday at the Cutting Room. Sister's Doll is the band, which was his backing band when he did his last show that I was missed.
I've given you a lot of hard time about that over the last 5 years.
Everyone's like, that's the show you missed, right, Vin? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. For those who've watched the show before.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be great to see him, hear him. Hopefully, I don't think he's gonna make that trip just to say, "Hello, everybody. Oh, good to see you."
No, he has said that he's performing, and I saw something online last night, maybe on Sister Doll's website, the Sisters Doll website. Yeah, no, I always do that. I put S's at the end of things just anyway. But they said he's gonna perform some songs. Plural.
I think we're good for 4 songs.
You think 4 songs? Right. I think that's your fearless prediction.
I think minimum 3, maybe 4.
I like that because we kept saying, will he do 3 or 5? So you took the middle, so that this would say you were off by 1, probably.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
4. And I asked you yesterday, so we'll put it on the record here. If you had one song to choose, what would it be?
Oh, that's right, Baby Driver.
Yeah.
Right.
And I said that was a
I was like,
good
I
choice.
hope I remember this one.
You don't want that's the kind of sugar Papa likes?
Listen, I'll take that, but because anything that we haven't heard him do would ever be spectacular. But he asking me if the one song I would love to hear, it's Baby Driver,
More Than You Matter to Me. Come on, if they didn't even announce him at first and they just went into that.
I mean,
and also Peter comes walking out.
there'd be 2 shoes flying off my feet. It'd be like,
Right, that would be a moment. Like they don't even announce him; they just start that song at the, and then Peter comes walking out on stage. Oh man, you would be in your extreme glory.
One of the greatest intros of any song of all time.
I agree.
Even more so than Stairway to Heaven. But that's another.
Wow, all right, that's a powerful statement.
Don't let those first couple of notes of Stairway to Heaven fool you. You know what I mean? Listen to you mad at me.
You don't cover that in any of your cover bands, right?
No.
I think you need to, even if it's just the first 30 seconds, and then you go into another song.
I'll talk to the boys tonight. I thought of a song earlier, and I was wondering. I said, I don't know if they do it in the tribute band. I was made for loving you. I was like, do they do that song?
Interesting.
I gotta look at the master list.
Right.
But
well, in your other cover bands that does songs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, etc., you said before that you do some disco songs. I think you have to tell the guys in your band you just want to have the intro of You Matter to Me, and then you could segue into Gloria Gaynor or whatever. It doesn't matter. And just to have that intro, just to play it.
That is a dream. That would be a dream to come true. But the fact of the matter is, only Kiss fans probably know that song, so.
But who cares? So if you just did the first 20, I'm not even saying sing a note of the song, but if you just did the intro, the first 20, 30 seconds, and then segue into I Will Survive or whatever, it doesn't matter. You'll get enjoyment. It's 20 seconds.
Of course.
Nobody's going to be in the bar saying, what was that 20 seconds? I'm out of here. Throw my drink down.
Right now in that band, I'm in a position that I could do no wrong. So I might have that power, so let me see what I could do about that.
If you do that, I expect a full video.
If that happens, you will see a clip of that. You will see a clip.
I think you have to make that happen.
Yes. All right.
You have to make that happen. Well, if Peter makes it happen on Sunday, then I'll give you the out. You don't have to do it.
Okay.
But assuming Peter doesn't do it, I expect to see that in one of your shows.
All right. Well, that's fair enough.
Well, I think that's a wrap on this one. Maybe we'll have to do another one of these next week after we go see the Peter Criss show.
I think that's a gimme.
Given.
It's a given. Thank you. I knew it started with a G.
Yeah, it started with a G. I'll ask you, and I know your answer to this, but I had a friend of mine say that he feels Peter doing this show on Sunday night cheapens his show from 2017 because same band, same backing band, same place. Only last time it was supposed to be his final show ever in New York or in America. And now he's playing the same place with the same band again. I know you weren't there, so you're going to be like, who cares? But do you think there's any validity to that comment?
I don't think anything gets cheapened when you had a great experience. And it was a night of all his songs, something he never does. So I disagree. I mean, is it false advertising now looking back? His last show? I mean, it's not his show, but he is performing. So I could see why people could be upset but let's face facts too. Again, not to minimize what things cost. For what the event was and what was charged, you paid $250 for Kiss Soundcheck. If I remember correctly, I think it was $250 that night for a full Peter Criss show.
Yep. Was 5 years ago where prices have gone up.
Was there a meal involved in that too?
I don't think so. No, I think you're allowed to order food if you wanted, but there was no meal included in that price.
It was something he hadn't done in years. I still think that, it was well worth the money. If you paid thousands upon thousands of dollars for something like that, maybe you'd be more upset about it. But again, I don't want to minimize anybody's financial, position. But I still think it was a great experience, and it was a one-time only. It's not a full Peter Criss show. It's still a one-time only as far as we know up to this point.
Sure.
And so, I think, I'd be still okay with it.
Yeah, and I have no problem with it personally. To me, the more of the cat we can get at this point, and he's in his mid-70s, I'm excited, and maybe he'll be. I know he just had recently surgery, I think, on his hip. Maybe he'll be able to play drums. Maybe not. Who the hell knows? I don't care. Even if he just comes out and sings 3 or 4 songs, that's just to see him again. I'm excited, so I'm looking forward to it. So we'll have to do another one of these next week, buddy.
Sounds good.
All righty. Well, on that note, I'll be curious to see. I know a lot of people have been commenting online about the sound check. Let me know about what we said, some of our thoughts and comments. We look forward to hearing those. And I guess on that note, double Ringo.
Double Ringo.
Till next time, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Later.
Later.
Alrighty, there you have it. My thoughts and comments on the KISS Soundcheck at Hartford, Connecticut. If you guys are interested, I certainly suggest you go check it out on kissonline.com for all the information on how you could attend a KISS Soundcheck in the future. Trust me, it's a lot of fun. I think you guys will really love it. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.